Please be advised, the following material is intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. This report contains the exact federal courtroom testimony from the Sean Diddy Combs trial as documented by Inner City Press. He built an empire with style, status, and silence. But inside that courtroom today, silence turned to shock. Prosecutors made a move no one expected. They dropped 3 major charges. But don't be fooled, this case hasn't calmed down, it's detonated. What started as a straightforward set of allegations has now become a battle of narratives, strategies, and stakes that could shape Diddy's legacy forever. Out of the original 8 charges, only 5 remain. But what's left carries enough weight to sink everything he's built. This morning, as closing arguments began, prosecutors came out swinging, no hesitation. They labeled Diddy as the orchestrator of a long-running criminal operation, not a disorganized mess, but a methodical empire, one where fame was used like armor and fear like a weapon. Inside the courtroom, they peeled back the outer layer of celebrity gloss and exposed what they claimed was a network of employees, assistants, bodyguards, and insiders, all allegedly complicit in executing his commands. These weren't helpers. They were operatives, handpicked and positioned. The courtroom sat frozen as the jury was reminded of key testimonies. Accounts from Cassie and Jane Doe returned to center stage. Testimonies filled with disturbing details, manipulation, force, and encounters under influence played again, not just in words, but in emotion. These were not just accusations. They were personal traumas, relived for the courtroom. And then came the twist. Prosecutors revealed they had dropped 3 charges: attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, and aiding and abetting trafficking. Not because those allegations were weak, but to tighten the lens, to keep jurors laser-focused on what remains: racketeering, forced labor, bribery, drug distribution, and witness tampering. Charges that, if proven, could mean life behind bars. But that wasn't the bombshell. That came next. Video evidence. A 2016 hotel surveillance recording that's now been seen and debated across media. The footage shows Cassie trying to leave and Diddy allegedly forcing her back. This time, prosecutors paired it with expert breakdowns, timestamps, frame analysis, a detailed narrative. Then they layered that with statements from staff, former employees who described being paid to deliver substances, arrange secret visits, and manage logistics. One security guard admitted under oath he was paid 6 figures to hand over the original tape. The prosecution called it a bribe, a cover-up, a glimpse into a pattern. Their argument was simple. If something could be hidden, it would be. And those working for him knew how to erase trails fast. They said Diddy's inner circle was more than security. It was an infrastructure, hired not just for protection, but for precision. One former bodyguard confessed his duties included setting up private events, cleaning up after them, and removing any trace that could be linked back, everything, allegedly, at Diddy's instruction. The message from the prosecution was crystal clear. This wasn't chaos. This was coordination. And then came another turn. Diddy chose not to testify. He looked the judge straight in the eye and said it was his choice. No testimony, no witnesses called in his defense. Just a quiet strategy built around a few selected text messages and targeted legal arguments aimed at casting doubt. He sat calmly in court, taking notes, whispering with his attorneys. His team worked to tear apart the timeline, the credibility of witnesses, the motives of the prosecution. Every glance, every word was carefully calculated. It's a risky move, and legal experts agree. With that surveillance video already etched in the jury's minds and emotional testimonies lingering, taking the stand could have done more damage than good. By staying silent, he's avoiding traps, but also forfeiting his chance to explain. Today marked a critical point. Judge Aaron Subramanian gathered both legal teams to finalize jury instructions. These are the exact guidelines jurors must follow as they weigh the remaining charges. The language was tight, especially around the racketeering-related counts. Both sides agreed on the structure: 10 potential predicate acts under the racketeering umbrella. And while some charges like kidnapping and arson were trimmed, heavy allegations like trafficking, forced labor, and bribery remain untouched. By the end of this week, both sides will deliver their closing cases. The prosecution will summarize every point, highlight every witness, and remind jurors of every moment that drew gasps. Then, the defense gets one last shot to plant seeds of doubt. Outside the courtroom, things were heating up just as fast. Former federal prosecutors weighed in, with some saying the racketeering case looked solid, even if not every witness took the stand. But others warned that proving coercion in intimate encounters is still tricky, especially when text messages suggest some degree of mutual involvement. Social media, meanwhile, erupted. Hashtag Diddy trial shot to the top trends, with opinions split. Some praised the prosecution's focus. Others questioned whether dropping 3 charges was a sign of weakness or strategy. In the streets outside Foley Square, protesters gathered. Some held signs calling for justice. Others stood in quiet support of Diddy, arguing the media had already tried and convicted him. Tension was real, but so was control. No chaos, just anticipation. And that's because the finish line is close. The defense is preparing their final argument, a push centered on one idea, that not every story has one side. They'll use those text messages, they'll highlight inconsistencies, and they'll try to sway even one juror to hesitate. That's all it takes. The timeline? If everything moves as scheduled, the jury could begin deliberations by late Friday or early Monday. The judge is expected to finish instructions quickly, and then the weight of the verdict will fall squarely into the hands of 12 people. The stakes? If found guilty on the most serious counts, Diddy could be facing a sentence ranging from 15 years to life in prison. And this is where the drama deepens. Was the decision to drop charges a sign of confidence? A move that sharpened the case like a spear? Or a sign that parts of the story couldn't be proven beyond a doubt? That's the question echoing everywhere right now, from court benches to Twitter feeds, because this trial is no longer just about one man. It's about power, about systems, about the price of silence, and the cost of exposure. So as the defense gears up, the world watches. Will they dismantle the prosecution's foundation, or will they crumble under its weight? We'll find out. But one thing is certain. The final act begins now. And the ending, that's anyone's guess.